And would you please welcome the not so new, but new chaplain of the U.S. House of Representatives, Father Pat Conroy.
Take a moment to pray. Dear God of all creation, we give you thanks for the wonder of your creation. We thank you that in your wisdom and mercy you have chosen us to work with you and one another, to utilize the earth for ourselves and preserve it for all men and women to come. Bless the efforts and ingenuity of all of our partners, that as the stresses on the environment continue to increase, ways to manage the world's resources toward equitable distribution and maximum benefit to all might become apparent, and with your grace be successfully implemented. We thank you for this time here together on this day. Bless this gathering. Bless the meal we share, gifts brought forth from the earth by the work and skill of many of our brothers and sisters. Help us never to take for granted the gift that is your creation. Bless as well those who have labored to bring food to our table. May we always be mindful of those less fortunate than ourselves who have neither companionship nor sustenance this day. And remember that you have asked us to as well to care for them. Amen.
Thank you, Father. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, please eat, because we have enough time for everybody to have dinner, lunch, but also for the program that we've designed for you today. First, I'd like to introduce the International Conservation Caucus and the Foundation to our Chinese guest. The International Conservation Caucus is a coalition of Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate who work together on international conservation issues. It's the most popular caucus in the Congress. It's now about a third of the House and a third of the Senate, and it's pretty evenly Democrat and Republican. Also liberal and conservative, which is even more important. We embody the concept of use of natural resources, but wise use, so that future generations can enjoy those same benefits. When we launched this caucus and foundation, the caucuses 10 years ago and the foundation 6 years ago, we used a consistent theme that we were advocating Teddy Roosevelt conservation policies. Teddy Roosevelt was one of our great Republican presidents, and we're honored today to have his great-great-great-grandson, Teddy IV, with us, who's also a great conservationist. Ted, thanks for being here. Ted is with Barclays Capital in New York and came down just to join the delegation today. I'd like to introduce two of our advisory board members. Senators, I'm going to ask you to come up, if you will, now. This might be a good time. We don't have but a moment, but Senator Bennett Johnston, a Democrat from Louisiana, and Senator Bob Caston, a Republican from Wisconsin, are both here to join us, and they both just wanted to greet the delegation.
Thank you, David. Welcome on behalf of Senator Bennett Johnston and myself. Welcome to the United States Capitol, and welcome to the Senate side of the United States Capitol. You're in a Senate office building. The House office buildings are on the other side. But we just want to say how happy we are and pleased we are to have you here as our guest today. I think that the concept of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, particularly in China, is an exciting and meaningful concept for all of us. I'm from the middle part of the United States. I'm from Wisconsin, from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. and small business, small and medium-sized business, and entrepreneurship are what makes our state and our country strong. And we're pleased to have this wonderful representation of Chinese entrepreneurs and leaders with us today.
I'd like to join my friend Bob in welcoming especially our Chinese friends. I have had a special ability to see the miracle that is China unfold, because I was in the second group to travel to China in 1976, when China was really, at that time, a third world country. I have seen China grow and prosper both economically and socially. So I am particularly pleased to be part of this group, because I know when the Chinese people set their minds to doing something, whether it's conservation or improving the economy, it is going to happen. And it's going to happen faster than it can happen in the United States. So welcome our Chinese friends, and please give us the kind of leadership that you've shown these past years in improving your economy, and let's do it in the name of conservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Caston, Senator Johnston. Now I'd like to introduce Marcia Marsh. Marcia is the Chief Operating Officer of the World Wildlife Fund. She oversees the execution of WWF's strategy in over 100 countries, guiding their work in policy, markets, and field conservation, and the linkages between poverty and environmental degradation. Marcia.
Thanks, Dave. I thought I'd stand because we can't see everybody in the room there. So, ladies and gentlemen, members of the United States Congress, Mr. Liu Zhongzhi, and members of your delegation, thanks to all our distinguished guests, and thank you for joining us here today. We want to say a special thanks to Senator Portman and his staff for their hospitality in making this room available to us. It's a great honor to host this event with the China Entrepreneurs Club and with the ICCF. We hope this will be an engaging conversation about how the world's two great economies can develop the right sort of sustainable solutions. Sustainability is a word that has been used for decades, but it's more important today than ever before. At WWF, every 2 years we issue a Living Planet report, where we look at an index that gauges how much the world is consuming of our resources and our capacity. And at this point in time in the 2010 report, we were consuming 1.5 times the planet's capacity, on a trend, if not abated, to make 2 times the world's capacity by 2030, which could have devastating consequences for the generations to come. These increasing pressures on the world's natural resources demand really innovative solutions and different roles for Congress, for governments, for business, and for NGOs. Partnering with major companies, WWF is working to change the way in which commodities are produced, traded, and financed. We've identified the 100 companies that have the most significant impact on the places of highest biodiversity and conservation potential out there, those places and the species we really care about. And working with those companies, we believe that if they commit to sustainability, they will have the opportunity to shift global markets. By engaging in strategic and innovative partnerships, we're looking to help them reduce their environmental footprint and to champion pre-competitive and sustainable solutions that harness the global marketplace to be a force for change. Here in the U.S., WWF has been working with Walmart since 2008 to work on sustainable sourcing strategies for palm oil, seafood, beef, timber, and packaging. Similarly, our partnership with Procter Gamble first started with our Global Forest and Trade Network and has now moved to sustainable sourcing, consumption, employee awareness, and conservation actions on the ground. WWF is also at the forefront in advancing sustainability in the Chinese private sector, engaging the Mengyu Dairy Group, China's largest dairy company, through WWF's Climate Savers to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And we're also in discussions with the Vanke Company, China's largest residential real estate developer, to assess its timber supply chain and water footprint so that its entire development cycle is green and sustainable. These companies, like most of the people in this room, are convinced that sustainability is an absolute imperative for us going forward and for future generations. On a finite planet, no company, no government, no NGO, no single civil society can solve these challenges alone. So we're excited about the opportunity to talk about how we come together and do this as two of the world's largest economies. I'd now like to introduce you to today's panelists. We're going to begin with Miranda Ballentine. I'll introduce everyone first, and then we'll have them stand up to speak to you. Miranda Ballentine is Walmart's Director for Sustainability. She works with the company's Sustainable Value Networks to leverage the expertise of the stakeholder groups to expand Walmart's capacity to help customers save money and live better by increasing the sustainability of the company's 100,000 suppliers and 2.2 million associates globally. Carolyn Brehm is Procter Gamble's Vice President of Global Government Relations. She's responsible for public policy and legislative advocacy, leading P&G's team of government practitioners who support key markets in the U.S., Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. I think the Arctic's the only thing missing from that, Carolyn. Mr. Li Dongsheng, Chairman of the Board and CEO of TCL Corporation. TCL was established in 1981 and is the biggest multinational consumer electronics corporation in China and the 7th largest manufacturer of TVs and mobile phones in the world. Mr. Li has received countless awards that could take up the entire lunch if we were to list them. I'll give you one example. In 2009, he was awarded the Business Leader of the Decade by CCT's Economy Channel. Each of our panelists will take a few minutes to provide some comments to stimulate a discussion, and then we'll look at how much time we have left and open things up for questions. So with that, I'll thank you, Miranda.
Good afternoon. Well, I've also chosen to stand, although for those of us who are vertically challenged, these podiums generally are not the best choice because I'm sure some of you can barely see me. So next time we'll have to have a little stool, a stepping stool back here. Thank you to ICCF and WWF for inviting Walmart to speak today. When we were first invited, my initial thought was, well, goodness, what would one of the world's largest corporations have to say, have to contribute to some of the world's brightest, most accomplished entrepreneurs? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that indeed not only was our company, which is today quite large, founded by an entrepreneur, but in many ways how we became to be such a global leader is through continual entrepreneurship and indeed sustainability, although it is very core to our mission, was in some ways in 2005 an effort of entrepreneurial spirit by our then CEO, Lee Scott. So I hope what I have to share today is helpful, and I'll keep my remarks to just a couple of minutes so that we can get to the rest of the panel. So I thought I'd start with two quotations. I'm often asked, why does Walmart do sustainability, and how does Walmart do sustainability? And obviously we could talk for hours and hours and hours about those two things, but I'll just cover it at the very top level. The first quote I'd like to share with you is a quote by our current CEO, Mike Duke. And he says, taking costs out of the business, getting rid of waste, buying in a more responsible way, and giving back to our communities is simply true to who we are. By bringing together save money with live better, we make our business stronger. And the last part of that quote is a key part of why Walmart does sustainability. We make our business stronger through sustainability. So that's one of the reasons we do sustainability, and one of the reasons that entrepreneurs around the world, both big and small, ought to consider looking at their business through the sustainability lens. It truly makes your business stronger. Of course, Walmart is criticized for just about everything we say, so we have critics that say, well, Walmart only does sustainability because it makes our business stronger, as if that weren't reason enough, which we believe is a very good reason. But I'd like to also quote Lee Scott, our former CEO, when he said, as businesses, we have a responsibility to society. There's no conflict between delivering value to shareholders and helping to solve bigger societal problems. So when answering the question, why does Walmart do sustainability, the other half of the equation is because we're responsible as a global, part of the global society. It's a part of our responsibility. So how do we do sustainability at Walmart? We really look at it through the lens of our core business. And we have a productivity loop that we use as the lens for everything that we do when we look at new business ventures. It really has four components: operate for less, buy for less, sell for less, and grow sales. And when we look at sustainability through that lens, it fits neatly into each of those pieces. It helps us operate for less when we drive down waste, helps us operate for less when we use less energy, helps us operate for less and actually bring us new revenue streams when we sell waste instead of paying to have someone take it to the landfill. We now look at waste out of the back of our stores as misplaced commodities that need to find a home as opposed to something to just fill up a landfill. It's gone from a cost center to a profit center for us. When we can buy our products for less by helping our suppliers become more sustainable, it helps us sell for less and contribute to drive our mission to help our customers save money. So a lot of people ask me, well, if it's good for business, then why isn't everybody doing it? Or why haven't we been doing it for decades? And the answer is really quite simple, that the scarcest commodity in any corporation, and indeed probably in any space in life, is time and energy. And it really simply requires putting a new lens for looking at the way that you're already doing business. It's a new lens for innovation. It's a new lens for all of the things we already do as businesses: drive down costs, increase revenues. So it's really taking the new lens on the same business. So with that, I think I'll go ahead and pass to the next speaker. I'll end on two quotes that were not actually Walmart leaders' quotes, but are quotes that we think about and use regularly. And I probably don't have them exactly right, but Henry Ford, one of the early entrepreneurs in this country, said, "If I had asked my customers what they want, I would have invented a faster horse." And I love that quote because it's really around innovation and pushing the envelope and thinking ahead of where your customers are today, and anticipating what future needs your future customers are going to have. At the same time, Yvon Chouinard, who's a modern-day entrepreneur, he's the founder of Patagonia clothing company, said when he was recently speaking to Walmart, if you get too far ahead of your customer, you're committing suicide. So it's a balancing act always of knowing what your customer wants today, what she's looking for, and knowing what your customer wants tomorrow and not waiting for her to ask. And with that, I'll pass it on. Thank you very much.
Let's see, while we're getting set up. Hi, I'm Carolyn Brehm with I want to add my thanks to ICCF and the World Wildlife Fund for inviting us to speak today, and also a welcome to the Chinese Entrepreneurs Club delegation and Chairman Liu, the delegation leader. Great. I have a few visuals up front here. I hope those in the back can see it. And I'm going to walk through these visuals pretty fast to keep with our 5-minute time frame. But let me share with you how P&G looks at sustainability and how we see it as a way to do well as do good. P&G's purpose is to touch and improve lives now and for generations to come. Today we reach about 4.4 billion consumers, and we have a goal to reach 5 billion by 2015. To deliver that growth strategy, we've got to achieve our growth both sustainably and responsibly. And the opportunity to touch and improve these lives comes with the responsibility to do so in a way that preserves the planet and improves the communities in which we work and live. P&G is about an $83 billion company today. We manufacture goods in 80 countries and sell in 180, virtually everywhere where we're legally able to do so. And after the US, China is our second largest market. Our long-term vision, and this is over the past the next decade, is to use 100% renewable materials, or recyclate, for all of our products and all of our packaging. To power our plants with 100% renewable energy, to design products that both delight consumers while maximizing and conserving resources, and having zero consumer or manufacturing waste go to landfills. Let me tell you where we are today in that journey. There we go. Okay, we approach sustainability from a number of dimensions, both the sustainability of our products, our plants and facilities. We also look at social responsibility, and we look at the two groups that enable our sustainability capability, and that's employees and stakeholders. So after we had a first 10 years of sustainable goals that we set, and we're now have set goals from 2010 to 2020. For our products, we've identified certain goals, including 25% of replacing petroleum-based materials with sustainably sourced renewable materials, to get 70% of total washing machine loads around the world done with cold water washing, and to reduce consumer packaging waste by 20%. And consumer solid waste we're piloting in both the United States and other parts of the world. In the area of operations, we have goals to make 30% of our plants powered on renewable energy, and reduce our manufacturing waste to less than 1%, 0.5%, and reduce our truck transportation by 20%. P&G is known for our ability to understand deeply what consumers want and need. And we've used that capability in order to talk to consumers, not just in the US, but all over the world, about what they think about environmental sustainability. What we've learned is that to make a meaningful difference in sustainability, we need to target our mainstream consumers. Basically, 75% of consumers are what we call sustainable mainstream. They are eco-aware, but they don't want to accept trade-offs in the cost and performance of the products that they use. And we found that that data is pretty consistent everywhere where we operate, whether it's the US, Canada, Brazil, Europe, Japan, Indonesia, and in China. So we are very much listening to that 75% and trying to meet their wants and needs. We've done so with a number of ways. We have, by conserving energy resources, we've developed laundry detergents that work in cold water. And we've introduced these both first in the United States and North America, and now they're moving globally. If everyone in the US switched to cold water for their machine laundry, energy savings would be about 33 million megawatt hours, the equivalent to the energy use of 4.4 million US households. There we go. Conserving water. We first developed Downy One Rinse for the Latin American market, where a lot of women who wash use fabric enhancer, fabric softener. And we found that we were able to reduce the amount of water that they use to rinse their laundry by 1/2 by developing a product that it's basically the rinses out in one single rinse. This is now being deployed in other parts of the world. Another area that we've done a lot of work in is product compaction. Compaction of liquid and powder laundry detergents has been not only just a P&G, but an industry trend, and one that we've worked very closely with Walmart on. By reducing the amount of water by 1/2, we're able to reduce energy in the manufacturing process, in packaging, and use fewer trucks to transport the products from the plant to distribution centers to retailers. We also use computer modeling to take the amount of plastic in our packaging out. This is an example of the Pantene bottle in China, where we've saved 350 tons of plastics annually, the equivalent of 1 day consumption of rice there. I have a very unresponsive clicker here. Here we go. And then finally, in renewable materials, we're piloting plastic bottles made from sugarcane. Pantene Natural Fusion is the shampoo, first sold in Western Europe earlier this year, and now expanding to North America in the coming months. It was through a partnership with World Wildlife Fund that we were able to explore the agricultural practices and life cycle of the plastics developed from sugarcane in Brazil to ensure its sustainability over time. We believe this has a lot of promise for the future. There we go. And then product designs. We've taken a lot of our packaging out of our products. Here's an example of Olay Total Effects, which is a skin moisturizer. The old packaging, which had a box and lots of plastic around it, and the new sort of plastic that only encompasses the bottle of the moisturizer on a cardboard card. Moving now to social responsibility programs. P&G has a program we call Live, Learn, and Thrive, which is targeted at the health and well-being of children from birth to the age of 12. We focus on health, education, and well-being. The centerpiece of this program is our Children's Safe Drinking Water program, and it is a point-of-use water treatment technology that comes in a little sachet that's used in the developing world. It removes bacteria, viruses, parasites, and metals, and we've actually served more than 3 billion liters of water to more than 50 countries around the world so far, and we have a goal to distribute another 2 billion liters by 2012. Finally, I just want to highlight our partnership with World Wildlife Fund, which seems appropriate given the program here today. We are very honored to be one of World Wildlife Fund's strategic partners. We announced this agreement in September 2010, and we focus on a number of areas, including forestry procurement, palm oil, renewable materials and products and packaging, and our carbon footprint and water consumption. It's important to note that we would not be able to achieve our sustainability goals without such partnerships with WWF and other NGOs that we work with globally. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing your questions at the end of the presentation. Mr. Lee. Okay. And now I'm delighted to invite Mr. Lee to come to the podium.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
首先，我要代表团呢，再次向各位抱歉呢。我们上午有3个会议，所以我们迟到了。
so first of all, on behalf of the CEC delegation, I'd like to apologize to all of you for being late because we were stuck in traffic and we had a very busy schedule this morning.
大家都很关注过去30多年中国经济的高速发展，但是也请大家注意到呢，其实在过去的10年， 中国整个经济的发展模式和观念已经发生很大的变化。
Well, while everyone is paying attention to China's rapid economic growth over the past 3 decades or so, I'd also like to bring attention to the fact that our economic growth pattern and the model has also shifted over the past 1 decade.
首先呢，在政府和立法机关方面，就不再把经济增长作为唯一的目标，而是更加强调一个可持续发展的概念和鼓励这个企业在发展中更多的承担社会责任。
For instance, for the governments as well as legislatures at various levels, they no longer regard economic growth as the only objective on their agenda, and actually they have already attached the notion of sustainability into the overall government growth agenda, and they also encourage enterprises like us to adopt various social responsibility programs.
大家可能注意到，中国政府已经把可持续发展作为重要的经济政策，放在国家的经济战略当中已经有很多年了。
And I think probably some of you have already noticed that the Chinese government has already for years put sustainability as an important element in our development plan for social and economic progress.
大家可能也注意到，由于不符合可持续发展和环保的这个要求，政府这个拒绝或者是否决了许多建设项目，这在以前呢是很难想象的。
And actually, one thing that's unprecedented in the past is that government was also in a position to issue denials to a number of projects which are incompatible with our existing sustainability or environmental protection standards.
这表明呢，这个中国的经济发展无论是方式和是在观念方面已经发生很大的转变。
And I think that's demonstrated that China has already experienced a major shift in terms of our attitude and the mentality when it comes to sustainable development.
中国企业也一样，我们这一次来的代表团成员都是中国的民营企业家代表，我们所代表的这些企业占中国的这个 GDP 的总量大概4%，都是一些中国大的民营企业。
I think the same change also applies to Chinese business represented here, because this time the members of the CEC delegation mainly consists of private entrepreneurs in China, and the businesses these represent put together account for roughly 4% of China's GDP.
我们这一代人都是创业者，回想在开始创业的时候，15年前、20年前。是吧？我们更多想的是怎么快点赚到钱，是吧？
And for those of us in our capacity as entrepreneurs at the very beginning of growing our businesses back 15 or 20 years ago, I think very frankly what's been occupying our mind at that time was how best to make money at the fastest rate possible.
但现在的话，我们的观念也在改变，我们更多的关注企业的社会责任，更多的关注如何能够实现环保、实现可持续发展。
But now I think our thinkings have also changed a lot, given that we are now devoting more attention to how best to improve our various corporate social responsibility programs, how to improve the environment, and how to realize sustainability in our development strategy.
所以我们这群企业家呢，我们自己也组织了中国绿色公司的一个组织，我们更多的鼓励企业来参加这种社会责任的承担，参加这种环保和可持续发展的工作。
That's why members of the China Entrepreneur Club have also formed a China Green Corporation Alliance, so that we could bring everybody's attention in this community to issues related to corporate social responsibility, environmental protection, and sustainable development.
我所在的企业 TCL 也一样。我想在20多年前，当时我最早办的企业之一是和这个飞利浦合资的，在我们中国的一个工厂。当时飞利浦的这些高管到惠州到我们那个当地看的时候，就说：“哎，你们这地方非常的漂亮，说你们要特别注意环保，不要把环境破坏了。”当时我听到说：“对对对”，但实际上我心里并不是很明白他讲的意思。在20多年前
Well, you know, back more than 20 years ago, one of the very company I founded under TCL umbrella is a joint venture with Philips from the Netherlands. At that time, we were having a visit by senior executives of Philips, and actually, while they were visiting the site for the factory in Guangdong province of my company, they commented that, well, it's indeed a beautiful natural environment you have here in your province, and please be mindful of the fact in the future when you set up the plant, do not damage or kind of degrade the environment. At that time, of course, I nodded my approval, but deep inside my heart, I didn't quite understand what he meant by environmental protection.
若干年之后，企业发展了，但这个整个经济发展了，但当地的环境呢也有很大的变化。在这个时候呢，我才更加深切体会到，当时为什么对方给我们强调说这个保护环境的重要性。
And of course, a few years later, our business is growing very fast, and the whole local economy was also improving constantly. But also the local environment was also experiencing some changes. And that's beginning to making me realize how important environmental protection could mean for a company.
所以这几年呢，我们也非常积极地参与到这个环保和可持续发展的工作当中。我们在我们的产品设计当中尽量减少原料的消耗，在生产过程中尽量减少能源的消耗。
And that's why over the past few years, we attach special attention to the issue of environmental protection, conservation, and sustainable development. For instance, we were able to bring down the amount of raw materials used in the course of production, and also we were able to bring down energy usage in the course of producing or manufacturing our goods.
另外的话呢，我们也成立了一个新的业务部门，来回收旧的这个电子电器产品，让它重新变成工业原料。
And also we have set up a separate department or dedicated division to recycle those used electrical appliances as well as components so that they can become, reused in the new products.
当然，我知道我们的美国的同行做得比我们还要好。这一次我们中国企业家俱乐部代表团来访问美国，也希望借这个机会和美国的同行交流，希望世界自然保护基金会和美国的同行能够更多的帮助中国企业能够更好的承担这个环保和可持续发展的这种工作。
Of course, we recognize that our U.S. business counterparts have done an even better job in the field of sustainability. And that is why this time, through the visit of our delegation, we hope to engage our business counterparts here in the U.S. and through this kind of exchanges, to learn more about your practices, and also on the part of WWF and ICCF, we hope to get your future help on helping Chinese private businesses to do an even better job on environmental conservation and sustainability.
因为我们虽然生活在不同的地方，但我们共同拥有一个地球，我们一起努力把它保护好。
Because even if we live in different locations in the world, but we live in the same planet, namely our Earth. So let's do our joint efforts to preserve it even better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee, thank you for those inspiring remarks and the story of your journey in sustainability. I'm going to look at Dave. Do we have time for questions, or? I think I'm looking at our panelists as well who had a hard stop. So we may have to have a conversation at a future date in terms of timing and wrap this one up. I'll ask Dave to conclude that. But it was fantastic hearing both Mr. Lee's progression, Carolyn's, and Miranda. I understand our panelists would make time for one question if someone has it. Is that good? Yeah?
Sure.
Do we have one question out there? And if you do, could you identify yourself? Or you're so inspired by those comments that you don't need to ask questions because you want much more dialogue in the years to come. So I think I'll turn it over to Dave to wrap things up.
Thank you, Marcia, and thanks to all of our panelists, Mr. Lee especially for your being part of this. Senators, Senator Johnston, Senator Caston, thank you both. The business is concluded.